Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of what I'm calling Rapid Movie Reviews, where I take a whole bunch of movies that I've watched recently and I review them. As a broad spoiler for all the movies I'm gonna cover in today's episode, most of them are pretty mid. Now, last place shouldn't even count, bro, because I didn't even finish it, I'm not gonna lie. The Devil's Mouth. I got like halfway through this shit. I'm like, no, I cannot stomach this. The first half was literally so basic, so boring. I did make it to when people started dying, but it was just fucking so boring, basic, just Jaws, but 0% aura. Like, Jaws doesn't even have 100% aura, but this movie just had no aura, okay? The only two actual standouts from this movie are one, they somehow got the actor for Guy Talk from The White Lotus to star in this stupid shit. So it was cool to see him on screen in another role again. I mean, I'm ignorant on a lot of like Thai shows and stuff like that. So maybe he's been in other shows based in Thailand that I just haven't seen. The other highlight was the character who had like a fear of blood. And he had this weird, like, traumatizing backstory. I'm not even gonna bother to look up his name. He was just funny to watch. Everyone else just made me laugh because I was cringing and in pain. That's all I really want to say about this movie. There is literally almost nothing notable about it in the first, like, hour and a half. Maybe the last little bit is the fucking holy grail of cinema, and I've missed out, but I really fucking doubt it. Next up, we have 1 Mile, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, because it's basically just one fucking movie. Like, okay, that is the first audacious thing. Okay, why the fuck were there two movies? They released two movies like literally back to back. I don't know the exact timeline, but they both came out in 2026. So if they both came out this year, why did you make two movies? Just make a 3 hour movie, or better yet, just combine the plots into one like 2 hour movie. You could easily fucking do it. The beginning of the second movie is completely fucking unnecessary. They could just have the daughter be captured right off the bat. The first movie ends with the main villain, Stanley Dixon, hiding out in the daughter's college that she went to, implying that she's going to capture her. But then how does the second movie start off? Oh, all fine and dandy. So what was the point of having him wait out in the college? Just have him kidnap her at the start. Don't waste like 40 minutes of the second movie just doing some random bullshit that never comes up again. We have this plot of the daughter having a crush on this guy, the two of them going to like some party, and it just never gets brought up again. What was the point of adding that in the movie? The only thing that was important prior to her getting captured in the second movie was the setup with Danny and his wife. Everything else was just fucking filler, and then they retread the same ground with her getting captured again. There is some upsides to the second movie in comparison to the first. Like, for example, we actually get more development for Stanley Dixon, as well as another character that was captured in the first movie that we just got absolutely nothing from until now. Even some members of Stanley Dixon's crew get development, and they were all nothing burgers in the first movie. So really, the plot of the second movie just should have been worked into the first movie, and then you would have had a somewhat decent movie on your hands. In summary, the movie itself is just fun to watch with family or friends and just make fun of. It's kind of just a standard action movie at the end of the day, with a few cool themes in the second one. But the fact that there's two is just like, why? Why would I waste 3 hours of my life watching this? I'll happily waste an hour and a half or 2 hours, but 3 hours is a little bit too much of an ask. Next is 72 hours. So this is the part of the list where we actually get to movies that I fully enjoyed. Whoa, that's really rare. Usually I can watch like a whole bunch of movies in a month and only care for like two of them, but things are different this time around. 72 hours was genuinely enjoyable. Like, is it anything like groundbreaking? No, but it was actually funny. Kevin Hart's comedy can be hit and miss for me. Sometimes it's just too over the top where it's like, oh, okay, it's not really that funny. But no, this was a good balance of humor and actual story. Naturally, there's going to be some over the top moments. It's a Kevin Hart movie, but generally it's kept pretty well balanced. The story of him trying to relate to younger people because he's a fucking exec and he needs to like understand how Gen Z think for his product, but then he genuinely starts to appreciate them and he can unite with them and relate his own problems to theirs. It was enjoyable. Obviously, I have a biased love for this movie because Michael Mando's in it. I guess I was just mentally preparing myself for Brand New Day and Michael Mando, even though I didn't even know he was fucking in this movie. I got fucking jump scared. I was like, wait, he actually is in this? Getting roped up into like some cartel stuff. That stuff is always funny when it's done in a comedic way and not a over the top way, right? You'll definitely laugh at least a few times. Just don't go expecting masterpiece. I just looked at the Rotten Tomatoes score and holy fuck, 17% is crazy, bro. Like, yeah, obviously critics aren't gonna love this, but 17%? It is not that bad. I've seen plenty of worse comedies than this, holy. Even the 5.4 rating on IMDb is a little too low. Like, that got a lower rating than 1 Mile, dude. Like, this is better than 1 Mile, I can promise you that. And finally, number one, the drama starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. Of course, this had to go number one. Nothing else that I could have watched could have passed this. Like, nothing on any of the streaming platforms right now that you can watch without paying for it is as good as this. Is it perfect? No, but like, fuck, it's fucking good. The standard of movies that I usually end up watching on like Prime or some shit or Paramount Plus, dude, the standard is so low. So any movie that actually kind of goes against the grain, does a concept that isn't touched upon that often, I'm immediately gonna give it grace, even if it's not that good of a movie. But in this case, this movie actually is good. I was surprised. When I read the synopsis or whatever, I was just like, oh, it's gonna be another one of those movies where, you know, it's all about love. One of them cheats or something, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're just gonna completely excuse that by the end of the movie and we're gonna get back together. Everything's good. But no, no, dude, this goes way beyond fucking cheating. There is actually cheating in the movie, now that I think about it. But even the way that's done, it really helps like dive into the character's psyche. Like, basically, Robert Pattinson and Zendaya's characters, Charlie and Emma, are talking about their worst things that they've ever done with their friends. And it just gets like progressively weirder. Their friend Mike starts off by being like, hey yo, one time I was heading home with a girl and a dog attacks us and I use the girl as a human shield. That's already kind of fucked up, right? So then it's Charlie's turn, Robert Pattinson's character, and he's like, I think the worst thing I've done is cyberbully someone back when I was like 14. Which, okay, sure. That's like the only like semi-understandable one so far. Until you find out that it was so bad, the person he bullied had to move away. It's like, okay, you kind of lost me now. But then it gets even worse. Rachel's story, the wife of Mike, and she's like, oh yeah, so look at me, I'm so quirky. In her words, slow child came by her house, wanted to play with her, whatever, and she just was bored that day, so she decided to play along, and she ended up fucking locking him in some sort of like closet in an RV in the fucking woods. And she didn't tell anyone where he was. A fucking search party had to come out and find him all on their own. And she's like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm so quirky. Like, no, dude, he literally could have died. And also, it's just a fucked up thing for you to do. But then, you get to Emma, Zendaya's character, and she's like, oh yeah, I thought of doing a school shooting. And she even went as far as to plan it out. Now, she was drunk in this moment, so this is not something that she would have naturally shared. She's kept it a secret even from her very soon-to-be husband, and she's like, shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And she basically just tries to make it seem like not much of a big deal, but Charlie is freaked the fuck out. Understandably, right? Because, yeah, she didn't go through with shooting up a school, but she thought about it, which is crazy in a sense. This movie takes a very interesting turn where it goes into Emma's backstory to, like, make you sympathize or at least understand where she was coming from and why those thoughts entered her head. Like, the movie goes into things such as the bullying she experienced and how her upbringing made her view the world differently. For instance, shootings were happening all around the area she grew up in, so she normalized them a little bit. Which is obviously a viewpoint that a child should never have. But the way she grew up and the fact that her father was in the army kind of made her glorify guns, on top of normalizing school shootings, and all this eventually culminated in her deciding to take out her bullies and just take out her anger in general with a school shooting. The only reason why she didn't end up going through with the shooting was because another shooting took place where a kid in her class ended up dying, which brought more awareness to Emma's school and also made the school kind of come together and bond more. Emma is able to see the repercussions of a shooting, and especially one that hits so close to home, apart from just being in her general area. And she unifies with people at her school more after everything that happened, and her bullying stops. And she actually got to the point of joining gun control activism and shit like that. So she kind of took a completely different turn, improved her mental health, her overall situation, and it's never really implied that herself now would ever even think of doing stuff like that because she's in a better place mentally now. Especially with Charlie, her soon-to-be husband. But of course, Charlie has to grapple with the whole situation. Like, just the thought of marrying someone who once had the thought of shooting up a school, no matter what the circumstances were that led her to those thoughts, it's just crazy for him to think about. And he's constantly, like, on the edge of his seat. Like, the movie kind of feels like a horror movie, the way Charlie is looking at his wife and the tension that sort of builds between the two, because the trust is just completely annihilated. I feel like Charlie almost takes things worse than Emma. Like, he's just so fearful, not only of Emma herself, but also just losing the relationship. He wants to go through with the wedding. He's loved this girl for years, but, like, every time they have to go do something related to the wedding, they're gonna have an intimate moment, or they just want to have a regular conversation, all Charlie can think about and is tormented by is the school shooting thing. And it basically just fucking absolutely wrecks him. Makes him, like, completely wary of her. All trust is just destroyed. And seeing that dynamic for so much of the movie, it's so entertaining to watch. Eventually, Charlie, after giving a hypothetical scenario to his, like, secretary or whoever the fuck she was about what she would do if she had found out what he had just found out. Secretary obviously finds it crazy, and that's not the answer Charlie was looking for. He tries to make, like, a whole bunch of justifications for it or whatever, not because he necessarily believes those justifications, but because he is just trying his best to still see Emma in a good light. He ends up basically cheating on Emma with his secretary. Quickly stops. He's like, what the fuck am I even doing? Which shows me that it was a heat of the moment thing. Still really fucking weird, but I think he was just so fried, and his mind has just been getting absolutely destroyed throughout the movie that he just, like, lost all common sense for a few seconds. I don't fucking know, man. And he he still marries Emma. The secretary's husband finds out, punches out Charlie on their wedding day, and everything seems fucked up. But then the movie ends with Charlie and Emma deciding to give things another shot and essentially start fresh after everything they've been through because they still love each other after everything. Now, if you took Charlie like more towards the beginning of the movie at face value, he's so terrified of her, right? But even while he was terrified, it's obvious that he always just wanted to accept her. Like, yeah, naturally he was freaked the fuck out, but he also just didn't want to throw away the connection that he had spent so long building either, and he wanted to believe that she really had changed. But it was the public perception that was holding him up. That's why he was asking people like his secretary what they thought, because he so desperately just wanted everyone to think it was okay so that he could be okay with him thinking that it was okay. That's a lot of okays. At the end, he's just like, I don't really give a fuck. And that sounds kind of Hallmarky, the way I'm describing it, I know, but when you actually watch it executed, it's really good. And for me to be saying that as someone who doesn't like love stories in film generally, yeah, it's executed really well. It's definitely interesting. You can kind of understand both characters, or at least like what brought them to the points that they're at. It sets up an interesting discussion, which is what I always like about a movie, okay? I don't want something where it's like, oh yeah, this guy sucks and this guy's awesome. If the conflict can really be like taken in a whole bunch of different directions, you can have a lot of reasonable opinions about it. That is a good movie. As you can tell by how much I've talked about this movie compared to all the other ones, it's clearly my favorite here, and I would definitely recommend you give it a watch. See where you fall. If you pick a side, if you're kind of in the middle and just in awe of the movie itself, like me, definitely go give this a watch. This movie is really so complex. There's so many like intricacies to each character. There's so many details I didn't even cover. There's so many different perspectives or things I think I should have covered, but nope, the video's long enough. Just go fucking watch this movie, please.